Can we pause the recording?
Just finished a Python course. Actually, it was an 8-week course, and I found this like right after, so this is amazing. I'm really big on women empowerment. I run many women empowerment groups on Facebook, and I'm really known for women empowerment, so this is like really cool to me. Thank you guys so much for this.
And yeah, so with that, I'm just going to give a brief introduction to Women Who Code. So our mission is inspiring women to excel in technology careers. And with this, we have our vision where we envision a world where women are representative as technical executives, as founders, as VCs, as board members, and as software engineers, and essentially just creating an environment, a very inclusive and equitable environment, and allowing everyone to join in this area all together. And so our target is engineers with 2 or more years of experience looking for support and resources to strengthen their influence and even importantly, level up in their careers. And we do take our code of conduct very seriously. Women Who Code is an inclusive community, and we're dedicated to providing a very empowering experience. And if you would like to read the full version and access our incident report, you can find that at this link. And this code of conduct does apply to all events and online communities affiliated with Women Who Code. And for some statistics, so we have 230,000 members in 70 networks in 20 countries. And there's more than 10,000 events. We have daily conference tickets, scholarships valued at $2 million, as well as access to jobs and resources and infinite connections. And so our movement is, as the world changes, we can be a connecting force that creates a sense of belonging while the world is being asked to isolate. So with that introduction to Women Who Code, I just want to present our agenda for today's session. So first, I'll be introducing the study group and kind of going to some logistical matters. Then I'll be doing a very high-level introduction to Python as a language, kind of why we use it, why it's a really nice first step into programming. Then I'll go into an introduction to Google Colab, since this will be the main platform that we'll be using for future sessions. Then I'll briefly showcase personal projects. This is something that will be taking place further along in the series, but just for you guys to start thinking about some personal projects, and we'll pitch a couple ideas. And lastly, we'll go over some applications of Python and kind of where is it used in our world today, and how many different companies actually use Python on a regular basis. So for an introduction to the study group, so our goals of the study group are to get participants more comfortable with coding in Python and coding in general as well. We would like to prepare participants like yourselves to have fundamental knowledge to participate in other workshops. And these can include a machine learning study group, something based in data visualization, perhaps web development, and even building with Raspberry Pi. And these are just a select few, but there's several ways that you can extend the fundamental knowledge that we'll be sharing in this entire series. And lastly, it's also to prepare participants to become good developers. And we'll be going over kind of how to write clean and tidy code, and what are the best practices for coding, and specifically for Python itself. And so some features of the study group. So for those who are completely new to programming, Python, or have very little to zero knowledge of computer science. So that's kind of our main target audience. And one really exciting thing is that we'll actually be coding together in real time. And so that will take place in the next session and the future sessions after that. Today we'll do a very brief part of coding, mostly just to introduce Google Colab to all of you, but that's kind of what to expect for future sessions. We also want to maintain a slow and steady pace, just so everyone can absorb the material. This is a beginner study group, so you just want to make sure that everyone is on the same page and is staying on track with all the content that we'll be covering. We also encourage learning from each other in a comfortable setting, going back to forming those connections with everyone. And especially with everyone being isolated at home, we do, encourage a very nice learning atmosphere for everyone. And lastly, chit-chatting about the topics is strongly encouraged. We want this to be a very nice and relaxed environment. And, from the comfort of your own home, we hope that all of you can take some valuable knowledge from this series. And so the main tool we'll be using is Google Colab, as I mentioned, and the demo of this is coming soon. I'll kind of just briefly show the user interface of Google Colab, but we'll actually be actively using it to code in the next session. And so how this will work is that participants will make their own copy of the notebook, and then during the session, we'll actually be doing the live coding. And you'll be following along with whoever is leading the session, which will be either myself or Karen. So the next session will be Karen, and she will be kind of sharing her screen and going along with the notebook. And we hope that all of you can make your own local copy of it and kind of go through all the steps together. And hopefully everyone can take something from the session. And then to go over for the schedule. So we hope to maintain the same schedule for every session. For the first 5 minutes, we'll do introductions, kind of how we did today. We introduced ourselves, and as well as a few of you introduced yourselves. And then for the 30 to 45 minutes after that, we'll be attacking a specific problem or a use case of Python. And this is where we will be doing the live coding. And then for the last 5 to 10 minutes, we'll kind of do a recap of what we accomplished today, what we learned. And so that's kind of the breakdown of every session that we envision. The occurrence will be twice per month. So this is a bi-weekly series. And there's a potential for some lightning talks on various topics, and we'll keep you guys posted on if those will be happening and when those will be scheduled. So with that, I'm going to move to an introduction to Python. So Python, what is it? It is a programming language that lets you work more quickly and also enables you to integrate your systems much more effectively. So there's several very key features of Python, and some of them is that it's very powerful and it's very fast. It plays well with others. It can run almost everywhere. It's very friendly and easy to learn, which is why it's kind of the first language that people typically learn when they get into computer science. That was the case for myself. And it's also open. So as in it's open source. And here's a link provided just to the official description of Python, the official website that has some documentation and further details. And this quote here was taken from that website that I mentioned, and just from some key points from here is that it's a very nice and high level programming language. So a lot of things are kind of going on in the background, but as a user of the language, you're able to still do a lot of things and you're still able to understand how is the language doing different things. It allows for rapid application development. It has very easy to learn syntax. So the code that you're writing out is very nice and readable, which is something that's very important for beginners. So it emphasizes readability, and it supports several modules and packages, and we'll actually be going into packages in a later session. And so it has a very extensive library, and it can be freely distributed. And so why do we use Python? So as I said, it has very readable code, and it's also very maintainable. There's multiple programming paradigms that Python can be used in. And going off of that, it's very compatible with major platforms and systems. It has a very robust standard library, and we'll be exploring different parts of this library in future sessions. There's also many open source frameworks and tools. It helps to simplify very complex software development, and it also allows you to adopt test-driven development, which is really important when you're working in the real world and you're leveraging Python. And so where do we use Python? So I'll be going over to the specific applications a bit later, but just for some general areas, we have web development, we have game development, we have scientific and numeric applications. We use it in artificial intelligence and machine learning. As a master's student who has a concentration in that field, I myself use Python for my research. It has a very nice and friendly desktop GUI, which is the graphical user interface. It's obviously very usable for software development, and lastly for enterprise level and business applications. And so now I'll be going into an intro to Google Colab. So this is Google Colab or Collaboratory, and this basically allows you to write and execute Python directly from your browser. So there's no program you have to download on your laptop. You can just access it directly from your browser. So it's really nice and user-friendly. So with that, there's no configuration required, because typically when you download some sort of application for coding, there's different things you have to install to make sure it's running okay. But this does help to reduce a lot of those configurations. It also gives you free access to GPUs, and this is very useful for handling complex tasks. It allows you to do parallel computing, and it also helps you handle very large data sets. And so you're able to get an access to these GPUs completely for free. So this is a very nice and useful feature. And lastly, it allows for very easy sharing. So just like with a lot of other Google products, we are able to share Google Colab notebooks across your friends or your peers. And so it kind of adds to that collaborative nature. And so, whether you're a student, a data scientist, or an AI researcher, Collab can make your work a lot easier. And so in here is a link to kind of getting started with Google Colab. And it's a bit of a longer video, so I'm not going to play it right now, but you guys do have access to these slides, and feel free to watch this on your own time. But what I'm going to do right now is actually go into a demo of Google Colab. So this is linked in the slides itself, and if you click on that, it'll open this notebook here. So this is what Google Colab looks like. It's directly through your Google account. So all you need is the Google account to access Google Colab. And here just to go over some of the user interface, so just the normal toolbars on the top. Here you have kind of a table of contents, so you can actually nicely organize your code and have different sections. And this is a section for a file browser. So basically here is where you can upload files. So say if you want to work with a data set or something else, you can upload that pretty nicely and easily here. I'm just going to go over some parts of this. So this is, as it says, it's not a static web page. It's actually a nice and interactive environment. So here you can actually directly write and execute code. So this is an example of a text cell. So you can basically just, if you double click on this, you can see that it's just text. And then this is actually a code cell. And here we directly have some Python code written in here. And so what we have is basically just a variable. And we're just doing a mathematical operation of 24 times 60 times 60. And we want to compute the number of seconds in a day. And then we print out that value. So I'm not going to go too much into depth of the semantics and the syntax of this code. It's mostly just to show how do we run this code. So we have this code cell here, and to run it, you can just simply press this play button. Or you can also, if you hover over this, you can see it says run cell. You can either press Command Enter for a Mac or Control Enter if you're on a Windows. And that's it. And then it just provides you the output right here. And then you can simply, as you can use a variable and do something else to it, you can multiply it by 7, and here's the updated output. And so I'm going to go over these sections a little bit quicker, but this is basically how you can use it for data science. You can have a lot of nice visualizations. Here we're using an external library. And you can have, tables and plots and all of this in line with your entire notebook. It's also used for machine learning. It has all these different sorts of applications. And if you scroll further down, you'll see some more resources of working with notebooks and Colab in general, working with data, and actually kind of gives you this crash course for machine learning and then some examples. So that's just sort of to give you guys a high-level introduction to Google Colab. I would highly recommend watching the video that I have linked in this slide. That'll definitely help you to get just another introduction to Colab. So I hope people feel a bit better about working in Colab, and before the next session, hopefully people can join the live coding that we'll be having. So with that, we're gonna take a pause for any questions that we have. Karen, are there any questions to be answered?
I think we are good. So we Stephanie post on the GitHub link where you can on the chat where you can find all the materials, including this study group and all the other women in code Python all the webinars. So you can go to take a look and go through that. We will be just like give you guys a heads up. We will be posting all the section materials like 1 to 2 days prior to each section. So so if you guys want to take a peek or you guys want to study yourself, like feel free to do so. And like all the Slack, like so including this slide. So if you have any questions, like feel free to right now, or like you can help us a question on the Slack channel. I think we're good. Any other questions, girls?
And we'll also have a chance at the end for some more if anyone has any questions that come up later. So if no one has questions now, that's totally fine.
We got one question, sorry, Rishika. So Sienna's asked, give me 1 second. So we will show, yes, we will. So Sienna's question is like if we can connect the Google Collab to their own drive, to your own Google Drive. Yes, you can. Before the second session start, I will be showing you guys how to do so. And there's also instructions on the GitHub on the GitHub repository as well, telling you how to do that. So if you guys have any questions or have trouble access the Google Colab, like let us know.
All right.
I think
Wonderful.
we are good.
Okay. I'll carry on with the rest of today's agenda. So just a couple more topics left. So I wanted to talk a bit about the personal projects. So what we had in mind was a personal mini project at the end of the study group. And this can be done individually or in a group. It's completely up to all of you guys. And what we would like is, to utilize the concepts and the tools that we went over and that you learned from the study group and use them for your project. And why would a personal project be a good idea? So it helps to make you a better developer. You kind of, you learn by doing, and you kind of get to experiment on your own. You also get to handle the application lifecycle. So depending on how much you want to build out this project, you can actually see kind of how you try to, if you're building an application, how do you design it? And there's a lot of steps that happen before you even get to coding. And I'll be going over this sort of life cycle in a little bit. It also gives you the chance to express your creativity, and you get to choose a topic that you're interested in. So you get to actually work on something that you're personally motivated towards, and we hope that all of you guys can enjoy this experience. So here are just a couple of, or a few potential ideas. And all of these are linked with, if you click on it, you'll kind of see like a brief article or tutorial kind of going over what exactly you'd be doing. So we have Hangman, so just building out a very basic Hangman game. We can also do a Madlibs generator. There's also the Pong game, story generator, and tic-tac-toe. So, there's no need to decide on the project that you want to work on right now. This is just to introduce the idea, and all of you guys can try to take the time to sort of think about these ideas and see if it's something that you want to any of these that you want to do, or perhaps go off of it and do something a little bit more extensive beyond just these ideas. For the personal projects, we'll be posting a poll on Slack soon, just to kind of see where your interests lie. But again, this is just something for you to start to think about, and there's no need to decide right away. And so the last section that I'll go over is applications and uses of Python. So Python in the real world, you can see it in several places. For web applications, it's used in the Google App Engine and Pinterest. In operating systems, it's used for the Ubuntu installer and the Anaconda installer, which are both very popularly used. We also have it in entertainment and music. So companies like Netflix and Spotify also use Python. Then in business and enterprise applications, we have YouTube and Reddit. For mobile applications, there's Instagram and Facebook. And for others, we also have Dropbox and Quora. So as you can see, there's a whole range of companies out there that use Python, and it's very, very user-friendly. And even though it is used as kind of like a starting step for programmers, it has a lot of applications, and for all the reasons that I mentioned for why it's used, a lot of companies do decide to use this as their primary language. And so I'm also going to go over continuous integration and continuous delivery. So this is kind of talking about the life cycle of an application. So continuous integration is a coding philosophy and a set of practices that drive development teams to implement small changes and check in code to version control repositories frequently. So I know that's kind of like a whole bunch of words, but basically it just means that you are able to kind of break down a large application into smaller components and work on these smaller components. And it lets you kind of, make these small changes in code, make sure it works okay. Because if you try to do everything at once, it could, run into a lot of errors, and something could break, and it would be hard to kind of know what is causing the error. So this is a very popular thing that's used by a lot of professional developers. And hand in hand with this, we have continuous delivery. And this is where you automate the delivery of applications to selected infrastructure environments. And this is an automated way to push code changes to different environments. And so both of these go hand in hand. And as you can see from this diagram, this is a very continuous life cycle. And this is something that's a very nice best practice for whether it's business level and enterprise applications, or something that you're just building out on your own. So it's just a very important thing to keep in mind. So that's all the content for today. Thank you everyone for joining in. I think we're gonna, before we jump to questions and finishing this off, here's our social media information. So for our Instagram, our Twitter, and LinkedIn, this is our handle, as well as our website at womenwhocode.com/Python. And for some upcoming events that we have, so on August 31st, we have Introduction to Quantum Computing Programming. And then September 7th is Transition to Computer Science Programming and Tech. This is actually my own event, so I hope people can join on that. And then we have session 2 for this study group on September 9th, and we'll be going over Python libraries, and Karen will be leading that session. So if anyone has any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box. Our Slack channel can also be found here. So it's a beginner Python study group. Please join that so that we can, stay in touch, and feel free to also ask any questions there after today's session if nothing arises right now.
Great, thank you, Rishika. So while you guys, I see a couple questions already, but while others are typing some questions, so we want to launch a poll for you guys to just do a quick survey on your like a programming background. So if you guys want to see, so right now you guys should be seeing a poll there, 3 questions. also, if you guys can take a chance to let us know your experience. So it helps us to better shape the session material a little better. Right. Thank you. I see majority of you voted already. Thanks so much for your information. We will definitely shape this a little better. Shape this course material a little better. So now go to A. Do you wanna know? So I got a question. So the first question I saw is from Patricia. Are we going to learn CDCI? Unfortunately, no. But Rishika can confirm with you with that because this is a Python like very basic Python like programming like series. So we were mostly learning something that like that's gonna be like very fundamental component for like every other programming language that have. So we won't go into like that deep of the detail. Which am I correct on this? Okay. So the second is we will be I think someone has trouble access the slides. We will be figuring out this on latest like late after the webinar. So we'll make sure everyone can like go to the slides. And if you guys still can't access the slides after maybe like 1 hour after this webinar, like let us know on the Slack, and then we will fix it. And then Sophia is asking, is there any website, like is there a website for the check this event individually? Yes, of course. Posting, so you feel free to check out the slide on Rishika's screen, womenwhocode.com/Python. That would be all the events will be posted on there. On the website, and then feel free to join any other event that like we and the other wonderful ladies are hosting. And sorry, also Mariana is asking if do we need to read, watch any material for the next meeting. So it's a yes or no. So I can give you guys a little heads up. So next section we'll be talking about Python library. So if you've done like computer programming before, and this should be like fairly straightforward to you guys, but for many of you who like not the first time exploring programming language, I would suggest you to read the material first. Like I mentioned before, we will be posting the Collab notebook. We'll be posting the session material 1 to 2 days prior to the section. So the session is September 9th. So we will be posting the Collab notebook on September 7th. So if you want to get yourself familiar with it, like feel free to do so. I like that. It's definitely encouraged to get yourself familiar. So when we start the next session, we get right on to the questions, and like you can feel free to ask me or Rishika any questions. So still here. Oh, wait, still here. It's still here. Oh, hi, still here. So I'm wondering how to join the Women Who Code Python Slack and also the Python Slack YouTube channel. So we'll be posting. Stephanie, would you mind posting a link to the invitation to the Slack channel? So you just have to all you have to do is to click the link, and then it would link you to registering yourself to Slack if you haven't done so, and to register yourself to the Women Who Code Python channel. So all you have to do is click the link, follow the instructions, and you will be joining us for the Slack. So one more question, Dipsy asking, would the personal project submission and due date be coordinated in Slack? So the personal project, we are intending to just want you to practice coding as much as possible. So without any stress or so it's not an assignment. It won't be a due date. No, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. So we just want to end the only goal of the personal project is to get you guys coding with us and learn with us. That's about it. So if you have any ideas or personal projects you want to work on, we can definitely feel free to reach us on the Slack, and we will be posting our like Rishika mentioned on one of the slides that for the personal project we'll be posting our recommendation very soon on the channel, and so we can discuss and you guys can pick one of the recommended projects to work on. But that would be another. So the personal project wouldn't be happening till the end of the study group series, which is in December. So don't worry too much about it, and let's learn from each other along the way, and then we will be fine. And I see one question about the study group date, the series, the day series. So we are planning to have this study group series every other 2 weeks, every other week. So you can actually mark your calendar if you want to join us and everyone. So mark it from now on it will be September the 9th, and then the next one will be September the 23rd. It will take a little time for us to post the event link, but it will happen. Let's just stay tuned with us on the Slack channel, and any updated information we'll let you guys know. And Lisa is asking, can you help me to get info about the Slack study group for the front end? Sure. I mean, you can join them into. We can post you the front end Slack channel later on, or if any fellow Stephanie can help, please help Lisa to do so.
Hey, yeah, feel free to message us in the Python Slack channel and we'll get you added to, that'll be the easiest way. Or you can email us at python@womenwhocode.
Thank you, Bree. Are there any other questions? Sorry if you guys pop up on the chat. I might not able to see it because everyone is very nice, being very nice, and I can't see the question. If you have any other questions, feel free to write it on the Q&A button, so I can read them and answer them to everyone. All right, looks like all the questions I answer for now. Like we said, like many times, if you have any other questions or concerns, like let us know. Let us know on the Slack, and we will be posting. Posting you. We'll be posting more updated information on the Slack channel, like you mentioned, and feel free to check the GitHub repository any time or like 2 days before this session. And that's about it today. And thank you very much for joining us for the first session. Very excited to have everyone here. So hope to see you guys in the next session and the Slack channel. Bye everyone.
Hi everyone.